We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu. This is John Bailey speaking from the CBS newsroom in New York. Here is the Far East situation as reported to this moment.
While newsreel was in its rise, news providers would start taking advantage of a medium that lacked the spectacularity of image but could travel in time and deliver the message quicker than a film production crew. Harry P. Davis, a Westinghouse executive, was the first one on having the vision of opening the radio waves for public transmissions. On November 2 of 1920, Westinghouse launched the first commercial radio station in Pittsburgh. The business was selling the radios needed to listen to such stations. By the end of 1922, 576 stations were in operations in the United States. About 100,000 radios were purchased that same year. By 1925, 5.5 million radio sets were in use in the United States. With radio, we became familiar with the concept of immediacy. The waves allowed the news to travel quicker than ever before, without the overnight delay of the newspaper or all the production of the newsreel. Radio journalists were frequently drawn from the newspaper staff and adopt the dispassionate voice of print media, but with a more simple language. But there was an element in radio that was essential, an element that embodied the notion of authenticity in the medium.
This is Trafalgar Square.
It's the voice.
The noise that you hear at the moment is the sound of the air raid siren.
When you can't present the event, you need that familiar voice that you can trust. To reporting events, the U.S. radios associated with wire services or news agencies. But in order to be true, events needed the backup of a voice. The voice was the embodiment, the substance of the radio waves. The corporations understood that, and globally, voices were related with the concept of truth.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
Television takes the idea of the voice, but turns it into a face. It's the news presenter, the talking head.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an
The newscast resembles what is probably the most ancient method of communicating news. A person telling you what happened. A familiar face that embodied the whole idea of truth. The rhetoric of the who, that on the time showed to be misleading.
We just talked to him about a half hour ago. Clinton has proposed that the two sides meet tonight.
First TV reports were very similar to newsreels. It was a genre with technical limitations, very hard to produce. But during the 60s, the power of the medium was realized by the mainstream and protesters, witnessing and pushing the social change. Everybody, even the outsiders, wanted to be on TV. But reports like this one, by the journalist Morley Safer in Vietnam, put the alarm on TV corporations about the perils of the truth, and make them feel the necessity of controlling the unidirectional model of broadcasting.
The old and the very young. The Marines have burned this old couple's cottage because fire was coming from here.
The day after this report, Frank Stanton, president of CBS, received a phone call.
The day's operation burned down 150 houses, wounded 3 women, killed 1 baby, wounded 1 Marine, and netted these 4 prisoners. 4 old men who could not answer questions put to them in English.
The President Lyndon Johnson ended up stationing 3 TV sets in his office. There were no major changes in the newsroom until the arrival of electronic camera and video, which doesn't require to be processed. They could be edited on the field and sent by satellite.
Now, from another camera, the motion is slowed. The murderer moves in, and here is the shame of all America.
Television, the electronic Newsmonger, provided us with crime, pop sociology, riots, man hopping in the moon, famines, earthquakes, ecological disasters, exploding spaceships, love, joy, fun, and all the human drama during the second half of the 20th century.
Reuters is reporting that the police tracked O.J. Simpson through his cellular...
Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder.
I proved to these people here at the rink that I could do it, and hey, I did.
The fact that she has been questioned by the FBI.
I mean, they talked to everybody, and they're doing, let's see, that's...
Remembered, of course, for this 1991 video that stunned the nation.
I think it's important to note that when I was there, the absolute fact of the matter...
I was never going to talk about this relationship.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.